Portland Thorns and Chicago Red Stars not a part of this regular season weekend because of the Challenge Cup final that took place between North Carolina and the Washington Spirit. So let's get into it. Saturday, the lone match, San Diego Wave FC versus New Jersey, New York, Gotham FC. What a time. Kicking off Mother's Day weekend. Alex Morgan putting up 4 on Gotham FC. Wave FC undefeated in the regular season. We're 2 weeks in. It's a madness. Let's talk about it. Alex Morgan putting on a show for everybody in San Diego. And Gotham FC. Yeah. We're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about it. Lisa, 4-0. I think let's just start at the beginning. We did a preview of this. We said, let's make our picks. We said we think the Wave are going to take this one. So shout out to the Wave for coming through clutch and making us feel like geniuses. But I don't know if we were the type of show that it's like, let's make a pick and let's put a scoreline on it. I don't know if we would have had 4-0.
No, I can tell you I wouldn't have. I would love to kind of cheat this and lie and say I would have, but no, there's no way I would have guessed 4-0 on this one. What an incredible match for San Diego. I mean, there was a lot of things missing with Gotham, lacking from the Gotham side of things, but that does not overshadow how well San Diego played, because this was phenomenal. 2 of Alex Morgan's goals were penalty kicks. So despite Morgan having 4 on the night for San Diego, 2 of them were really caused by her teammates. Amir Ali coming in and moments later drawing this type of foul that leads to a penalty kick. It was a collective effort. The defensive efforts from San Diego were there. We know how high Casey Stoney is on defense and defensive structure and organization, and making sure that defense comes first. It starts with the forwards. It's all 11 players defending, and we really saw that from San Diego. I'm sure Casey Stoney was proud after that match, not only for a player like Alex Morgan to net 4 goals. I mean, that's a record for an expansion team and for her, and then to do it in style, still get a clean sheet, and a win at home too in the regular season back to back. I mean, truly impressive match in this one, but the scoring really all in the second half. So much of the games so far this year in the regular season have been quick goals that we've seen, but the penalty kick coming in the stoppage time at the end of the first half for Alex Morgan getting on the board first, and then not again until the 66th minute. But what did you see from this match in particular? What are your thoughts on this one? Because there's a lot.
Madness. I saw madness happening in this one. I'm with you 100%. Like I pitched that to you and said, hey, if we had to put a scoreline on it, is this one that you would have predicted? I'm with you. I probably wouldn't have predicted something this high either. If there were 4 goals in this match, maybe we would have thought it was a 2-2 draw. Maybe we would have thought it was a 3-1. But I don't know if it was going to be a 4-0 blowout in this one. I guess we're talking obviously about the victors in this match, and we should be, right? With the victors come the spoils. Alex Morgan having a career night, quite frankly, now is in the history, but she was making records as this game was, progressing throughout the evening. At one point, she became the third player in the NWSL's decade-long history to have a 4-goal game. So she is now in the record books alongside Chris Hamilton and Sam Kerr. And those are 2 players who had those type of games. I still think about those games, and I'm like, then here's another one. I'm still going to be thinking about this game from Alex Morgan. But San Diego and what they were presenting on the pitch this day, and perhaps what little we were seeing from Gotham, I think is the story of the overall match here, because we're talking about, I mean, my God, San Diego ended this game with 31 shots. 31 shot attempts. I'm just kind of like
17 of those shot attempts in the first half coming from inside
in the box. Alex Morgan herself, again, we're talking about records. Alex Morgan herself creating a new stat line, recording 14 of those shots on her own, 13 of which were inside the box. Yeah, it's just. This is like a common thread. It's like a song that I don't really enjoy. This one is actually not my jam, what we're about to go into here when we're talking about Gotham. It's early. We keep hearing a lot of that around this Gotham FC side. They've now been together for players reported in market February 1, right? We've had a preseason that's taken place. We've had a Challenge Cup that's taken place, and we've now had 2 matches of regular season NWSL play for the Gotham FC side here. And we're again exiting a match where there are still questions around this side. I mean, just I where the midfield is looking
You being at a
kind of
loss for
sus.
words is pretty much the epitome of what Gotham put out on the
It's like
pitch. I mean,
we're being
yes,
asked to talk about Gotham, and it's like we're reaching a little bit. We're like, well, maybe it's this or maybe it's that,
yeah.
and
I
we're
mean,
just not seeing it.
their midfield was non-existent. Someone in the chat, it's just Austin asking, do you think San Diego played well, played amazing, or it was Gotham that didn't play well? And honestly, it's both of these things because
Yeah,
I think that against any other opponent, if Gotham had this game that they played, it would still be a really bad result. They weren't connecting in the midfield. The midfield wasn't controlling any part of the game. Anamanu up top, along with Purse, did not find the ball nearly enough. Paige Monahan, a forward for Gotham, was playing incredible defensive defense all over the pitch and tracking back so much that she became the player of the game for Gotham because of her defensive efforts. It was just nothing in the midfield. They were getting destroyed in the midfield. And when you look at San Diego, they really played so well. I think against any other team, if San Diego had that match, they would have had a very similar outcome
yeah,
in getting the win. So it was San Diego playing very well. One of the strongest
yeah.
performances we have seen from them
Mhm.
um, over leaps and bounds of their other really good performances. But Gotham not connecting, not finding any type of rhythm with the ball at their feet. I mean, how often did Christy Mewis touch the ball? How often was she on it? Because in a match like this, she needs to be on the ball so frequently, getting it every single time they're building up their attack. And Mewis just didn't touch it. She wasn't influential in this match at all.
Yeah, there's a disconnect there. 38 total touches for Mewis over the course of 90 minutes against the San Diego side. And just there's this we saw even in some of these goals. I mean, at one point Zerboni kind of getting posted up in one of these highlight reels. It was a tough
That was
night
bad.
for Gotham
Zerboni
FC.
needs to clear the ball.
Yeah.
I mean, Zerboni had a tough game in this match. I mean, the one of the penalty kicks, that was a sloppy foul against Zerboni coming in late on that tackle, and then not being able to clear the ball, and Morgan just strips her from it. Yes, 2 of the goals were penalty kicks, and honestly, I don't think that's a credit to Alex Morgan. I mean, yes, for knocking them down, but it's the players that drew those penalty kicks, and that doesn't happen without sloppy defense from Gotham.
I'm with you. I think because if we're going to bring in this sort of argument, this neutral argument or this neutral point of it's early in the season,
Mm.
teams are still sort of figuring things out. If we're bringing that in and sort of looking at that on both sides of the pitch, perhaps it is a little bit of combination of both things where San Diego finding themselves overperforming on a certain night or Gotham underperforming on a certain night. I mean, even yes, we're talking about the fact that there were 31 shots and we're talking about Morgan having 14 of those, 13 of which were inside the box. But when we're looking at attempts on target, maybe a little bit of a difference. Maybe that can cool that off a little bit. Of the 13 shot attempts, you're talking about 9 on target for the Wave, 8 shots for Gotham, 4 of which were on target. So maybe it is a combo of both of those things. And if we are looking at this neutral argument of the fact that, oh, it's early, et cetera, well, this is the time to see adjustments a little bit. You can't look at the availability report for Gotham and say like, oh, they really could use somebody like Ali Long. Well, guess what? She's going to be out for quite
Yes.
some time because she's out expecting twins. So it's going to be a little while.
Yeah, like she's not coming back for this match or for this season by any means. And although as fans, we didn't know that about Allie Long, that she was out for maternity leave. It just said excused absence for so long on those availability reports. Gotham knew that. They had seen her. They had talked with her. So there needs to be different problem solving about how you're going to string passes together in the midfield and really where that possession is going to come from. And frankly, you have to get the ball to Purse and to Anamanu.
Yeah, I'm also just a little curious about this too, because we're seeing, we're looking at a Gotham FC side that got a pretty hefty win in their opening weekend, but it was against an Orlando Pride team that was in the same group as them. We're talking about two teams that struggled in the East region, Gotham and Orlando Pride. They had very not impressive Challenge Cups compared to the other 10 teams during the same competition. And then you have a San Diego Wave team that we started to maybe see some areas of individual growth throughout the pitch. And I think we're starting to see that translate a little bit in these early weeks of the regular season. But the end of the day, the numbers aren't lying, and we're seeing them. We're posting them up. We're sharing them with the listeners, and it is 3 points for San Diego, and they are sitting pretty in week 2 on top of the standings after this 4-0 win against Gotham FC.
It was a little bit of a joke on Saturday night, like, oh, San Diego's at the top of the standings because there's no other regular season games to come until Sunday, but they stay atop of the standings come Sunday night.
Well, let's talk about it. So we had a triple header for Sunday to kind of close things out. We got to start with Kansas City Current versus Houston Dash. Lisa, you were on the call for this one. Houston walking away with the victory in this one. We're going to get a chance to talk about how we were incorrect in terms of our picks. We both, I think, went for the Current in this match. But Houston Dash, got to say, just on paper, just considering, everything that the club is going through right now at the moment, and how they also opened up how they finished their Challenge Cup and how they opened up their regular season, to get a 2-0 result in the second week of the season, I think is a pretty good bounce back, I think, for both the mental side of the game for some of these players on the Dash. But 2-0, Lisa, I got to pick your brain on this. You're on the call. What were you seeing out of Houston in this match that gave them the victory?
So Houston in the past historically has been a little bit of a run and gun team because they have so many weapons up top. And when you have Rachel Daly in the front line, you want to play that ball over the top and find her there. But they've been dropping Daly back into the midfield. Shea Groom not getting the start in this match, and Daly playing at that number 10, that attacking midfield role, which is a different role for her. And then they have Abam, Nichelle, and Sanchez up top, Nichelle Prince up top. And so that gives a different look to Houston, but they didn't push that much in transition. Really, as the NWSL goes, it's a transitional league. And this match was slow comparatively because neither side was looking to go in transition as much as they wanted. As this match started, Kansas City controlled the first 20 minutes of this game. It took Houston a while to get in the rhythm of this, to figure out where this match was going to go. But another penalty kick lines up, 2 in the San Diego match for San Diego, and then another one in this game. It was a pretty tough tackle by Elizabeth Ball against Michaela Abam, and I don't even know about this one. It was like,
I'm gonna say, come on, you gotta. On the way, I'm asking you to take off your broadcast analyst hat right now. Now I wanted you to look at this play as a defender, Elizabeth Ball, and this call in the box. Talk to me about it.
I don't think it was a penalty kick.
It's tough, not gonna lie, it's a tough call.
So at the initial watching of this live, I didn't think so at all. And then as we watched the replay, I was like, well, maybe did she give her a 2-hand shove? However, if you look at the positioning of the referee and where Ball's hands would have shoved her, the referee couldn't have seen the hand. So despite the shove coming from the hand, I don't know. I honestly don't think this was a penalty kick. Elizabeth Ball is a top-notch defender. She knows how to move her feet. She got the ball initially, and then she stood there. Whatever it was called. There's a lot of.
I'm with you. I'm with
you.
There's a lot of. I'm with you with the same perspective of taking a look at the call. But I mean, it's different because we have different angles, right? We're not the officials calling it in real time. But you could see the reaction on Ball. She's like, "What?" Like,
yeah.
It's just tough.
And of all the tough referee calls this weekend, this is like the least of the worries. Like,
No.
in terms of like safety of players and things like that, like whatever, give this penalty kick there. And of course, Rachel Daly knocks it down. She's 6 for 6 penalty kicks across NWSL play. That leads the league for penalty kicks taken and scored 100%. Right there for Rachel Daly. No wonder she steps up and takes it. And that's the difference maker in this match, because that changed the momentum for Houston throughout this game completely. They were starting to get chances after that. This goal coming towards the end of the first half in the 40th minute. In the last 5 minutes, it was all Houston in the attacking end, just continuing to go towards goal and get on the end of it. But this was an interesting game because it wasn't super fast paced, which we have seen from Houston in the past. It really all depends against the competition they're playing against, I think. And now having an acting head coach in Sarah Loudon stepping in for the Dash as well changes things a little bit.
The Dash getting a little bit of an insurance goal there in the end of stoppage time.
Oh, that was. Can I talk about that for a second?
Please.
Because now that I'm taking my broadcaster hat off again,
you up. Go ahead.
There's something like 3 minutes of stoppage time added on to this game, and if I'm trying to put myself in the referee's shoes, she was thinking, okay, Kansas City, they're getting a lot of opportunities. I'm going to keep it playing. It ended up being like 5.5 minutes added on, like 2.5 extra minutes of stoppage time. And it probably in favor of Kansas City. And ultimately, Houston ends up scoring another goal. So it's like the double dagger in Kansas City's heart, because they could have lost this one just 1-0 if the official stopped it at the end of the 3 minutes of stoppage time. But that didn't happen. Play continued out. That was like brutal to watch. I felt so bad for Kansas City in that match. Well, because of that. I mean,
let's chat a little bit about them, because it just sort of felt like there were moments in this match where they were kind of presenting a little bit of the better of play. Yeah. And when I thought at any time there was going to be an opportunity, maybe things were going to get leveled between the two of them. But in terms of attempts on target, pretty even. Kansas City with 5, Houston with 4. It's really the shot attempts, I think, where there's the difference. But Kansas City current coming off of a Challenge Cup where we saw some kind of intriguing things from this club, and maybe the beginnings of what we thought were going to be some certain bits of their team identity. And now in week 2 of the regular season, they're 0 for 2, coming off of a couple tough losses to start off this weekend. So maybe to close out for this segment of the game, what do you think Kansas City has to get back to, or what do you think they need to do to maybe try to get a result in the regular season?
I mean, losing a number of players due to injury, Elise Bennett not available in this match, was a really big loss. I honestly think that player rotation throughout this match wasn't that great for Matt Potter. That's something that I was keyed in on. I mean, there's only so much you can do and change with a quick turnaround, but bringing Jenna Weinbrenner off at the halftime changed things a little bit, because then Elizabeth Ball gets a bit of an injury and they have to take her off as well. So then your back line has completely shifted. And instead of getting fresh legs in the attacking side of the game, you were having to rotate players through the back line. But for Kansas City, they need to have a little bit more distinction about how they're going to play with the ball, what positions that the players need to be in, the triangles on the pitch that they need to find. And by triangles, I mean personnel triangles. So if Alex Luera checks back to the center back for a ball, where is the outside back going? Where is the wing back going? And where's the other 6 in Desiree Scott popping into those holes to create angles for Luera? So it's not just this double pass back and forth when Kansas City can't switch the ball. It's all about ball movement, player positioning off the ball when Kansas City's looking to build out. That's where they struggled with the most in this match.
I hear you. And then hopefully we see them make a bounce back in the following week.